Hello. Welcome back to my channel, guys. It's been a while since I've reviewed anything, really. I've been more focused on my own kind of short film, original content in the last couple of months, and I've had my, big university final exams, so I've been a bit distracted, but now we're back, and today we're going to be reviewing Marvel's Black Widow. I've been very excited to see this film for a long time. I think it's way overdue, because I personally have been very underwhelmed with all the Disney Plus shows that have been coming out, and I'm saying this as a bit of a die-hard Marvel fan. Neither WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, or Loki have kind of really captured my interest like the Marvel films used to. Whereas Black Widow has been really enticing to me because it was promoted as, like this kind of Winter Soldier-esque, very grounded espionage thriller, and I've wanted more of that because I think the best MCU films have been Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War. And I was really hoping that this movie would be a kind of character study that really gave us a bit more closure with Natasha's exit. I've got to say my feelings for this film are kind of weirdly divided into two halves. I loved the first hour of this film. I thought it felt like a bit of a Bourne film, Natasha on the run, going solo. And I think the kind of like settings like Budapest and the little like apartment fight scene she had with Yelena really helped to lend it that kind of European setting that a lot of the Bourne films did have. And so it did feel like a kind of Paul Greengrass thriller for the first hour. And then my main problem with the film is the second hour, because it tends to divulge into a lot of the Marvel traits that plague a lot of their films. A lot of the banter that has become a trademark convention in MCU films on many occasions can feel mistimed, and there was one big scene here between Florence Pugh, David Harbour and Scarlett Johansson, and basically, David Harbour's character being a bit complicit in, this essentially what is child trafficking. What should have been this very, tormented, psychologically damaged experience for these two girls, coming face to face with their father figure who deserted them, then turns out to be this weird kind of comedic dynamic, which I felt was a bit off. Also, this film suffers from the classic Marvel villain problem. It had the potential to be, like Winter Soldier was, kind of carefully punctuated throughout the film. Then we kind of reveal who he is, and because he had that big connection with Steve, there was a lot of emotional impact to the Winter Soldier. Whereas Taskmaster is kind of spersed throughout the film, but doesn't land with the emotional impact once you kind of find out who they are, because it's very predictable who the Taskmaster is going to be once you watch the film. And also, if you know quite a few actors in the acting world, like there's a name that comes up in the opening credits that you haven't seen in any of the trailers, and so I instantly knew, like, okay, that person's playing Taskmaster for sure. And then Ray Winston, I felt was very miscast. I'm not gonna lie. The Russian accent was a bit laughable. Not to his fault, but obviously the fault of the script. He was barely in it. He gets like 5 minute of one-to-one conversation with Natasha at the end of the film, which is mainly just exposition. So he's just a kind of faceless enemy, which is kind of annoying because the Red Room and this whole past of Natasha has been hyped up and kind of teased for the last 10 years or so. And this film also has one of those annoyingly over-the-top CGI finales. And what I was really hoping for, we get hints of it throughout the film, obviously, with these great one-to-one combat scenes, and then we get Natasha fighting the rest of the Black Widows towards the end of this film. And I thought really this film should have concluded with Natasha versus Taskmaster in a kind of one-to-one, just on the ground, like a kind of Raid 2 finale, just a very, like a 5 minute extended fight sequence with two, assassins just fighting their hardest. I really thought that's what this finale should have been. So the kind of final act doesn't really land, and the action doesn't feel very memorable in that regard, because it is just classic explosions, things falling from the sky, and people jumping out of flaming buildings, that kind of stuff. Things I did love about Black Widow, again, I've already talked about the first half being very grounded, espionage-esque. I loved all of that. Everyone's talking about Florence Pugh. I kind of feel at times like the spotlight was being put on her more than Scarlett Johansson. I'm not sure whether that's just credit to Florence Pugh, scene stealing, or whether the script really kind of didn't give Natasha enough to do in her own film. But Florence Pugh is definitely the highlight of the film. There's one kind of dinner table scene, you really do feel her pain. She really is convincing in that moment. They're obviously setting her up to be a big player going forward. We know she's going to be in the Hawkeye Disney Plus series. And if you watch the post-credits scene, that kind of hints at what her role will be within that. David Harbour was good. Again, David Harbour is utilised mainly for comic relief. Doesn't feel like much of a developed character. Same with Rachel Weisz's character. Beyond that kind of intimate sisterly dynamic between Natasha and Yelena, that there isn't much to kind of latch onto emotionally, but there is a lot of material between them that is strong. I just feel like the action probably peaks quite early on, with the car chases through Budapest, Natasha's first fight with Taskmaster, her fight with Yelena in the apartment. They were probably all the standout action sequences. Surprisingly, because they felt real, they felt very grounded, whereas in the latter half, it's all very, kind of CGI explosions, blah, 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 which is just, mundane at this point. Scarlett Johansson is also a particular standout here. She really does show a lot of kind of vulnerability and kind of guilt. I did enjoy the music. I think Lorne Balfe did a really good job of the soundtrack. So Black Widow overall is a good film, doesn't reinvent the wheel, and definitely suffers from a lot of the trademark Marvel movie problems. It is a strong outing for Black Widow. Like when we consider a lot of the kind of origin story films for a lot of the characters in this universe, there aren't that many that I would consider that good. First Iron Man, great. Probably the only one in Phase 1 that I would say is a great debut. Doctor Strange, no. Spider-Man Homecoming, everyone loves. I'm kind of like, yeah, it's okay. Black Panther was a good one. But so Black Widow as a kind of like standalone character film debut is probably up there with a lot of the better ones that Marvel have done. But as a film kind of fitting into the roster of other films that we have had, I get why people are kind of indifferent to it and feel like it is a bit maybe too little too late, but at the same time there is a lot to love. So yeah, I'm sure people have a lot to say on this film, a lot of differing views. I would love to hear them. Please leave them in the comments below. Next review I'll probably be doing is when the Loki finale comes out on Wednesday. I've got a lot to say on that series actually. Yeah, I've got a lot of problems with that, so I'll try and not make that a purely ranting video. But that will probably be my next review. In the meantime, thank you for watching, guys. Please check out my short film playlist, which I will link around here. Go check a few of those out, and take care, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.